wise use of land, the opportunity to bring water and food resources to marginalized communities, and a strong scientific and engineering basis to make the system work. If we can keep the social goals in mind as we develop the technology base, it really could be one of the areas where we see the most innovation affecting some of the most marginalized people on the planet.
This will not be important for Qatar, but for all the region and elsewhere where they have the same climate as Qatar.
The main driver of this is producing high-quality salad crops like cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, and those sorts of things, by use of much, much less water than you would do flying them in from more temperate climates. And our project aims to bring all those things together to both make food, water, and energy, and also re-establish vegetation and greening in the desert. How do you grow things in an area that doesn't have any water? Well, a lot of places are close to seawater. How do we make use of seawater? And you think, I know, we could bring in the seawater. We could actually run it over a standard agricultural pad that will provide cooling. We don't need fresh water for that. That's a good idea. We'll use salt water, not fresh water. And then you study the condensation on the roof of an ordinary greenhouse. And you think, well, hang on a minute. That's making use of the solar gain to evaporate water, but you can recover it as fresh water. So it goes in as seawater. You evaporate it as water vapor, and it condenses as fresh water, which you can then use to irrigate your plants.
Hello, hi, Bill.
Hi, love. It's me.
How's it going?
Well, I've just arrived, and very excited to be here. I must say, it's hot. It really is.
Yeah, for you. Make sure you drink lots of water.
Let's put the air conditioning on, shall we? I wonder where we are. Compass. So, we're heading north.
Exit the roundabout on Althea Street.
This is not a roundabout. Okay, over you go, mate.
In a quarter mile. Turn left.
There is an inspiration for this project in the Namibian fog-basking beetle.
The fog-basking beetle is based on the principle of a matte black surface which can radiate heat out to the night sky. So the beetle comes out of its hiding place at night, it crawls to the top of a sand dune, and then it loses heat to the night sky. When the moist breeze blows in off the sea, you get these droplets of water forming on the beetle's shell. Just before the sun comes up, it tips its shell up, the water runs down to its mouth, it has a good drink, and then goes off and hides for the rest of the day. And the ingenuity, if you could call it that, goes even further, because there are a whole series of little bumps on the beetle's shell, and those are hydrophilic, they attract water, and between them there's a waxy finish which repels water. And the effect of this is that as the droplets form on those bumps, they stay in very tight spherical form, which means it's much more mobile than it would be if it was just a mist over the whole shell. So even when there's only a really small amount of moisture in the air, it's still able to harvest that very efficiently and channel it down to its mouth. I can't remember when I first heard about the beetle, but it was probably 15 years ago. And yeah, it was one of the first biological organisms that got me really excited about the potential of biomimicry, because it shows just what can be achieved in a really resource-constrained environment.
Superbly adapted to use what's there at night, during the day, and make itself a living out of that.
Well, I think Bill is going to do the explaining.
Understanding is limited, so we have to try to put it in the simple terms that they can understand.
We have problems finding enough petrol and energy. We have problems getting enough water and food. And what this project is about is a new way of creating petrol, energy, food, water without using fossil fuels.
Will you just translate?
I'll do that.
Yeah, okay. This is a concentrated solar power mirror, which is going to be going along there, which will... It's a big mirror that follows the sun over like this and concentrates the heat onto a pipe here that makes very hot water. And from that, we use the heat to desalinate the seawater to make fresh water for the greenhouse. And here is the greenhouse, which will be cooled by using seawater to evaporate water. We'll have pads, big vertical pads of cardboard with seawater running down it, and the air passes through the cardboard and makes it cool inside the greenhouse, so that the plants, which like the sun but don't like the heat, will be cooled and will grow very well. When you want to do something good, you can't just say, I'm going to do something good. You've got to say, I want to do something which people want, so that they will want to do something which is good, which is a much more subtle thing to do, and in a way, harder to do than just say, I think this is good, so you should all do it. I did zoology at Oxford and then tracking fish around in Scotland, and that was with a vague view that fish would feed the world. The fish, when I was studying them, I was monitoring their tail beats. And actually what I found is that by preference, these were fish. These were trout in a loch in Scotland. By generally speaking, their preferred mode of action was to do nothing. I found it was very interesting. There were these big fish. They had a lot of muscle there, but they used it very, very rarely. The most sustainable thing to do is to do nothing and just to sort of live the life of a caveman. Well, that doesn't meet our needs of human endeavor. So sustainability for me is making best use of what we've got.
Go, go.
We've got to make sure that all those systems, all that computer modeling, all of the thinking actually comes together and works properly. And that's going to be the next challenge. So what's that pipe? Maybe you could go, if you take a section through the middle, then spin it. Yeah, that's exactly what I had in mind. Over here, we're going to have the algae. So this is all where the hedges are going to go, the evaporative hedges. And the big CSP mirror is going along there. They're just putting in the foundations for that at the moment. And up here, you've got the salt ponds.
Your call has been forwarded to the T-Mobile voicemail service.
Hello, Oliver. It's Bill here. It's all looking great. The site's there. We're having initial meetings with the contractor. So we're going to need you out here to do some of the project management, clearly. And yeah, it's all going great guns. I just thought I'd let you know. Okay, hope you're okay. Bye-bye.
We're in Doha now. We're heading towards Mesaid, which is where the Sahara Forest Project pilot is being built. I'm here for about 3.5 days, just coming from London. If we can develop this technology, then there are so many uses which can have such enormous benefit, and I think there aren't that many projects that you can get involved in which will have such positive social benefit.
We really want to get things up and running. We want to have a good commissioning period of, say, 2-3 months before COP.
Yep.
18.
Yeah.
So we really want to be finished by the end of September.
Yeah, but that's 7 months, isn't it? 7 or 8 months.
Yep. So...
And if you think of a standard construction project in the UK, it would take you 12 months of build, let alone the design. So we've got to, I think we've got to be designing and procuring at the same time. We don't have the luxury of a design period as such.
No. Yeah, okay.
So that's going to be quite interesting. So I think we need to work that out with the various teams. The computer system for the greenhouse is UK, so that's quite nice.
Yeah, yeah. And the electricians are from UK, yeah. And all the greenhouse supplies from UK as well. Yeah. Good. All right. So it's really where we need to put the effort in is getting a contractor to do those main contractor things. Setting up a site, putting his stuff in the ground, all the stuff that is supposedly easy to do, we haven't got anybody to do. This is a schematic for the heating system. So the fresh water is fine, it's used for plants, but the remaining water goes from 4% to 6% salinity. We use that saline water to evaporate more water in the greenhouse, cool it down. And then finally we use it in these things called hedges, which are the same evaporative pads, but they're out in the open. Good. When do you think we could have a price?
Price, you want to give me today's Wednesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's say by Sunday.
So where are we going next? Investigate. There's no discussion about whether or not it's a good idea to do what we're doing. I think actually that's a given. It's got to happen at some stage. It's just a matter of how. So which one? This isn't the drain, is it? This is the supply.
That's the supply.
Yeah. Yeah, well, so the hedge is here, isn't it? The weather, which is something that is a shock to any European going to the Middle East, to go out in July when it's sort of 40, 45 during the day and try to do something, walk through sand that just saps your energy. It's just awful. And you just wonder how anything could get done. Things do get done, but they get done at a very slow pace.
We've got a few things to sort out, which I'm a bit worried about. We've got a contractor who is 3.5, 4 weeks behind, and various other things following on from that, which can't be delayed that much.
I don't know. Maybe they work always like this here. I don't know. Because there are 2 guys walking around just looking at us, John and Krishna.
Yeah.
And there are 30 people, and 5 are only working. I told them 3-4 times, but they just don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what they're expecting to do. That's what...
But it's up to you guys.
Yeah.
I just... For me, it's a real pain in the ass when you're working and there's 2 guys standing there constantly watching what you're doing.
Yeah.
And when you look 5 meters further, there are 15 people not working.
But if no one's told them what the job is, then...
And if we have to wait 6 weeks for those, it's really going to put us back.
We couldn't succeed that.
Yeah, but why? Sorry, but as a client, I feel really let down that we have to use our people to go off in their car to go and buy the diesel.
To be very frank, why couldn't you tell me earlier? Because you know everything to arrange takes time.
Is the air conditioning on in here? Okay. Can we have a quick catch-up with where you've got to and what you're planning? Cages are ready. So they've been made, have they?
Yeah, already it is stacked there.
Okay, they're on site.
On site.
So you'd hope to be finished by
Saturday, Sunday maximum.
Okay. So beginning of next week. We're very aware that it's the hot time of year and we're under a very big time pressure. We've got to get this project finished. There's no way it can be late. So we really value your efforts and so please keep with it. Thank you.
इनको पता है कि गर्मी बहुत है अभी ये जो वेदर है बहुत अभी जो अच्छा नहीं है गर्मी का समय है और हमारे पास वक्त नहीं है Now what we have conveyed is that this is an urgency and we cannot taking it easy so and we are speeding up now we'll see the gears go faster
But globally, water consumption is a serious problem because as the world gets increasingly crowded, we're also getting increasingly thirsty. But how severe is the problem? It's estimated that 1.1 billion people don't have access to sufficient water. And the problem is getting worse, with water use growing at twice the rate of the world's population.
Look, I don't want to kill these guys.
Concrete works completed, pipework installed and operational, so that the salt ponds, top there, would all be done within 5 weeks from now. I think it's achievable.
All right, 10 o'clock this evening, I'm getting a car to the airport. Okay, for an early morning flight in the morning. Where's my rucksack? Engineering is all about designing complexity into things that work for, generally speaking, for mankind. I think to tell people to stop consuming won't win you an election. Now, people don't like being told what to do, and they don't like being told not to consume. To tell people to use less without having a flip side saying this is what you get in return just won't work. People won't vote you in. You just they won't buy you. They won't elect you. So that's where engineers come in. I think is to take an aspiration to make people's lives better, and they develop those things so that it isn't a negative choice, it's a positive choice. Now, more recently, those positive choices have been to do with consuming more. And I think the trick now for engineering is to design things which still give people those things that they want, but to do it with less resources. I think it's pointless thinking about doomsday scenarios and that awful things are going to happen, because it's just sort of a distraction from getting on with trying to sort something out. I'm sorry if I'm being very practical about that, but I just want to sort things out.